Your knees are not just aging. They are being consumed by a silent biological wildfire. If you are over 70, this invisible heat is the single greatest threat to your independent future. The medical establishment calls it inflammaging, a chronic, low-grade systemic fire that dissolves your cartilage while you sleep. They want you to believe that bone-on-bone pain is a natural tax for living a long life. But Harvard researchers have uncovered a different truth hidden beneath the marketing of high-priced pharmaceuticals. The pharmaceutical industry earns billions by treating your symptoms while ignoring the biological debt accumulating in your joints. You have been told to rest, to ice, and to accept the slow retreat into a sedentary life. This advice is not just wrong. For someone past 65, it is a prescription for rapid physical decline. Inflammation is not a localized problem in your hip or your shoulder. It is a systemic failure of your body's internal cooling system. When your immune cells remain on high alert, they begin to mistake your healthy joint tissue for an invading pathogen. This is the health noir of the modern senior experience, a world where the very systems meant to protect you are the ones causing the erosion. You are currently standing at a crossroads between chemical dependency and biological reclamation. The first habit Harvard research emphasizes is the strategic elimination of inflammatory accelerants hidden in the standard American pantry. For those over 70, the liver's ability to process refined sugars and seed oils drops significantly. These substances trigger the release of cytokines, which are tiny signaling proteins that tell your immune system to attack your own joints. When you consume high-fructose corn syrup, you are essentially pouring gasoline on the fire burning in your lower back. Harvard's Department of Nutrition suggests a pivot toward phytochemical warfare through a high polyphenol intake. Polyphenols are natural compounds found in dark berries and leafy greens that act as molecular fire extinguishers. For a person in their 70s, these compounds block the NF-κB pathway, the primary genetic switch that turns on inflammation. By eating a cup of blueberries daily, you are signaling your DNA to stand down from its aggressive posture. The second habit involves mechanical loading, a concept that defies the traditional advice of staying off your feet. Your joints are not like car tires that wear out with use. They are living tissues that require pressure to thrive. Synovial fluid is the oil of your joints, but it only circulates when the joint is under a controlled load. If you are past 65 and stop moving, that fluid thickens into a toxic sludge that starves your cartilage of oxygen. Harvard's physical therapy models suggest micro-movements performed every 90 minutes to keep the synovial pump active. This isn't about running marathons. It's about gentle, rhythmic compression that flushes metabolic waste out of the joint capsule. Without this circulation, the metabolic byproducts of cellular repair become trapped, leading to the morning stiffness that haunts so many seniors. You must view movement as a biological necessity, not an optional hobby for the energetic. The third habit targets the circadian inflammatory spike, a phenomenon that peaks between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. This is why you wake up feeling 10 years older than you did when you went to bed. During deep sleep, your body releases a surge of growth hormones meant to repair tissue, but if your cortisol levels are high, this repair cycle is hijacked. Harvard sleep studies show that seniors who lack deep architecture sleep suffer from 40% more joint pain the following day. To combat this, you must master the temperature descent habit, cooling your body by 3 degrees before bed. This drop in core temperature signals the brain to suppress the inflammatory cytokines that cause nighttime throbbing. Avoiding blue light from televisions and tablets after 8 p.m. is not a suggestion. It is a critical intervention for your joint health. Blue light suppresses melatonin, and melatonin is one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatories your body can produce. The fourth habit focuses on deep hydration and electrolyte equilibrium, a factor often ignored by primary care physicians. As you move into your 70s, your body's thirst signal weakens, leading to chronic subclinical dehydration. Your cartilage is 80% water, held together by a matrix of proteins called proteoglycans that act like tiny sponges. When you are dehydrated, these sponges shrink, leaving your bones to grind against each other without a buffer. Drinking plain water is often not enough, as the aging kidney struggles to retain the minerals necessary for cellular absorption. Harvard research suggests adding a pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon to your water to ensure it actually reaches your joints. Think of your joints as a hydraulic system that requires constant pressure to keep the skeletal structure lifted. Without adequate hydration, the health trap of the pharmaceutical industry closes in, offering pills for a problem that is fundamentally structural. The fifth habit involves the vagal tone reset, which connects your brain's stress response directly to your knee and hip pain. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve in your body and acts as the brake pedal for systemic inflammation. When you are stressed or anxious about your health, your body releases cortisol, a hormone that is highly corrosive to joint tissue over time. For someone over 70, chronic stress is like bathing your joints in a mild acid that prevents repair. Harvard's Mind-Body Medicine Institute has proven that specific breathing techniques can flip the switch from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic state. 5 minutes of box breathing can significantly lower the levels of C-reactive protein in your bloodstream. C-reactive protein, or CRP, is the primary marker doctors use to measure how much your body is currently destroying itself. By lowering your CRP through vagal stimulation, you are taking the nor out of your health future and replacing it with agency. The pharmaceutical industry prefers you to be a passive recipient of their chemical solutions. They want you to believe that your pain is a mystery that only a prescription pad can solve. But the reality is that your body is a complex economic system of inputs and outputs. If the inputs are inflammatory and the outputs are stagnant, the system will eventually declare bankruptcy in the form of a joint replacement. A joint replacement is a traumatic, high-risk surgery that often leads to a cycle of further complications for those past 75. It is the end stage of the inflammatory trap, a final extraction of wealth from your estate to the medical-industrial complex. By adopting these 5 habits, you are not just feeling better. You are engaging in a radical act of biological defiance. You are choosing to maintain your mobility, which is the ultimate currency of the senior years. Mobility is the difference between attending your grandson's graduation and watching it through a screen in a rehabilitation center. It is the difference between living in your own home and being managed by a facility staff. Harvard research is the shield you use to protect yourself from the predatory marketing of quick-fix creams and dangerous opioids. There are no shortcuts in the biology of aging, only the consistent application of sound physiological principles. Consider the role of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, in your daily routine. These fats are the building blocks of resolvins, which are the molecules that literally tell your body to resolve an inflammatory event. If you are over 60 and your diet is high in omega-6 fats from processed oils, you are creating a pro-inflammatory environment. This imbalance makes it impossible for your joints to heal, regardless of how many ibuprofen you swallow. The ibuprofen trap is one of the most dangerous elements of the modern senior health landscape. While these drugs provide temporary relief, they also erode the lining of your stomach and put immense strain on your kidneys. More importantly, NSAIDs actually inhibit the synthesis of new collagen, meaning they stop your pain today by ensuring your joints are weaker tomorrow. This is the definition of a systemic trap, a solution that creates a larger, more profitable problem down the road. Harvard's alternative is the curcumin-piperine synergy, a natural approach that matches the efficacy of some drugs without the internal damage. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, must be paired with black pepper to bypass the liver's filtration system. When these two are combined, They can inhibit the COX-2 enzyme, the same target as many prescription anti-inflammatories. For a person in their 70s, this is a much safer way to manage the knot of chronic pain without risking kidney failure. We must also discuss the role of advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, which are formed when proteins or fats combine with sugar in the bloodstream. These molecules are like molecular Velcro that stiffen your tendons and make your joints feel like they are filled with sand. Seniors who consume a diet high in grilled, fried, or highly processed foods are accumulating AGEs at an accelerated rate. Harvard research indicates that these compounds are virtually impossible to remove once they have bonded to your collagen. The anti-age strategy involves low-temperature cooking and the use of acidic marinades like lemon juice or vinegar. This simple change in food preparation can reduce the inflammatory load on your joints by up to 50%. If you are past 65, your body no longer has the buffer of youth to handle metabolic insults. Every meal is a decision. You are either fueling the fire or helping to extinguish it. The concept of nitric oxide signaling is also vital for joint health in your 70s. Nitric oxide is a gas that dilates your blood vessels, ensuring that the phytochemical warfare nutrients actually reach the tiny capillaries in your bone ends. As we age, our production of nitric oxide drops by over 60%, leading to ischemic pain, which is pain caused by a lack of blood flow. Simple habits like nasal breathing and eating nitrate-rich beets can restore this flow and flush out inflammatory debris. The noir aspect of senior health is the realization that no one is coming to save you. Your doctor has 15 minutes to see you, and 10 of those minutes are spent entering data into a computer for insurance purposes. You must become the lead researcher of your own longevity using the Harvard data as your roadmap. The system is designed for maintenance, but you should be striving for optimization and resilience. Resilience in your 70s means having the structural integrity to survive a fall or a long flight without a week-long inflammatory flare-up. It means having the metabolic flexibility to handle an occasional indulgence without triggering a month of hip pain. Another hidden trap for seniors is the low-fat myth that dominated medical advice for decades. Your brain and your joints are primarily composed of fats, and starving them of healthy cholesterol and saturated fats leads to neurological and structural decay. Your cartilage needs lubricin, a specific protein-fat complex that allows bones to slide over each other with less friction than ice on ice. Without healthy dietary fats, your body cannot produce this vital lubricant, leading to the bone-on-bone diagnosis. Harvard's updated guidelines suggest that seniors should focus on high-density nutrition, prioritizing eggs, fatty fish, and avocados. These foods provide the raw materials for cellular repair that a toast and tea diet simply cannot offer. We must also address the sarcopenia inflammation loop, where the loss of muscle mass leads to more joint pain. Muscle tissue is not just for movement. It is an endocrine organ that produces myokines, which are anti-inflammatory proteins. When you lose muscle in your 60s and 70s, you lose your body's internal pharmacy. This makes the joints take more impact while also removing the chemical signals that keep inflammation in check. Resistance loading is the only way to break this loop, even if it's just using your own body weight or resistance bands. You are not too old to build muscle. In fact, the older you are, the more survival value each pound of muscle provides. The health noir reality is that a weak body is a profitable body for the long-term care industry. Maintaining your strength is an act of financial and physical sovereignty that keeps you in control of your life. Let us look at the gut-joint axis, a frontier of research that Harvard is leading. Your gut microbiome is home to trillions of bacteria that regulate your entire immune system's threat level. If your gut is leaky, meaning the lining has become porous, bacterial toxins called lipopolysaccharide enter your bloodstream. These toxins travel directly to your joints, where they trigger a massive, painful, inflammatory response. For someone over 70, a course of antibiotics or a period of high stress can decimate the good bacteria that keep this lining intact. Rebuilding this barrier with fermented foods like sauerkraut or high-quality probiotics is a secret weapon against joint pain. You might think your knee pain is about your knee, but it may actually be about the state of your colon. This systemic view is what differentiates a truly informed senior from one who is simply following outdated orders. The noir of aging is the fear of being trapped in your own body, unable to do the things you love. But this script is not written in stone. Your DNA is not your destiny, it is simply a blueprint. The epigenetic switches of inflammation can be turned off through the 5 habits we have discussed. You have the power to change how your genes are expressed in your 70s, 80s, and beyond. Remember that consistency is the most important variable in the Harvard research. A single healthy meal or one day of movement will not overcome decades of inflammatory debt. You are refinancing your health, paying down the principal of inflammation a little bit every single day. Over time, the interest payments of pain will begin to decrease and you will find a new level of physical freedom. The controlled anxiety you feel about your health should be channeled into disciplined action. Fear is a powerful motivator, but only if it leads to a change in your daily biologistics. If you find yourself reaching for a bottle of aspirin every morning, let that be a signal that your internal economy is out of balance. Don't just silence the alarm. Go into the basement and find out what is causing the smoke. Harvard research shows that even those with severe osteoarthritis can experience a 90% reduction in pain through these lifestyle interventions. Your X-ray is not a life sentence. It is just a snapshot of a moment in time. The tissue in your joints is constantly being broken down and rebuilt. By changing the chemical environment of your body, you ensure that the new tissue being built is stronger and less inflamed than what was there before. This is the biological rebirth that is possible even in your 80s. Your body wants to heal. It is programmed for survival and homeostatic balance. The health traps of the modern world are designed to disrupt this balance for the sake of quarterly earnings. But the truth is accessible to those who are willing to look past the standard care and into the high-performance science of aging. As you move through your 70s, your margin for error becomes smaller. You can no longer afford the metabolic expensive mistakes that you made in your 40s. Every cup of coffee, every walk in the park, and every hour of sleep is a tactical decision in your war against inflammaging. You are the general of your own biological defense force. The 5 habits are your rules of engagement: precision nutrition, mechanical loading, sleep architecture, electrolyte equilibrium, and vagal tone reset. These are the pillars of a NOR-resistant life. Do not allow the system to dictate the quality of your final decades. Use the Harvard data to build a fortress of health that can withstand the pressures of time and systemic decay. Your joints are the hinges of your freedom, and they deserve your most rigorous attention. Keep them oiled, keep them loaded, and keep the internal fire under control. This is the path of the informed senior, a path of authority, agency, and enduring mobility. The silent fire does not have to win. You are now equipped with the intel necessary to reclaim your physical sovereignty. The health noir ends here, and your biological renaissance begins. Take the first step today by hydrating your cartilage sponges and silencing your inflammatory switches. Your future self, 10 years from now, is counting on the decisions you make in the next 24 hours. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and never accept aging as a synonym for agony. The science is on your side, and the power to change is in your hands.